Hello guys, this is Kuze with the Contraband Esports Network. Today bringing you a matchup, our second week of CESN's Player of the Week tournament. This week we got our chair holder, if you will, Hyper, facing off against OpticalRH, and alongside me as always as my co-host Octopus Rum.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing? Doing
I'm pretty
good?
good. I'm
You
pretty good.
feeling fresh? Did a little grocery shopping done earlier today? Yeah?
Yeah, that was fantastic. I'm loaded up and ready to rock this
Great.
tournament. This
Great, that's
player of the
awesome.
week
Got
matchup.
yourself some Yoplait yogurt. That's awesome. So we got Optical RH here today. He is our new player, and let's just get right to it. He's a Grandmaster. So Hyper is a Master level player. He did a fantastic job against Solo Turtle last week. Go watch the replay if you haven't seen it. But what are you thinking is going to be the most plausible outcome this week, Alex?
I mean, Optical RH is actually a really high-ranked player. RH is a really nice high-level clan. He's taking his time loading up the game here, but CESN versus Zerg, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some drop play on this map, and we'll be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, and I talked to Hyper before the game actually, and he said that his worst matchup is PvT. So we will see what role that plays today, and whether or not that's actually true or he was lying to me, trying to hype himself up a little bit.
Hype. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you see what I did there? Okay. Um, so getting right to it, we got Optical right here in the 1 o'clock position and Hyper in the 3 o'clock position. Octopus, you picked the map again this week. Why don't you tell us a little something about it?
Yeah, we're here on Shattered Temple, which is the newer version of Lost Temple. So we have these nice natural expansions, but with a pretty wide choke, so it can be hard to defend against some kind of early pressure. These nice high yields with the destructible rocks, and of course these what were formerly island expansions, which are now blocked off by destructible rocks on either side. So it's a pretty nice map. I'm excited to see. We do have close by air spawns here, so Hyper's going to be sending his Overlord. And looks like he's doing a little extractor trick to get those 11 drones. Something we see a lot of Korean players doing, but not a lot of North American players. And it's kind of just a sort of a style choice, I guess.
It's an interesting play, and, well, and also worth mentioning this week. Last week was best of three, and we were hoping for some longer games. So this week we've gone ahead and upped it up to best of five. So strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be here for a while. The best of three didn't really work for us at all. We had about 25 minutes worth of footage from last week because Hyper did a fantastic job against Solo Turtle. So see, it's going to be a little bit more, a little bit. They're going to get to know each other a little bit better this week.
Yeah, interesting enough, we see Hyper actually threw down a 10 pool after that 11 drones. So he was looking to put on some early pressure, maybe a Baneling bust, as Optical Arch is doing a standard barracks timing and getting up that one extractor.
Yeah, and otherwise nothing too much going on from either player. Hyper staying with minerals because he's going to go over Zerglings obviously, and otherwise Optical, as you mentioned, is making that wall, and he's got a refinery up though, and he is fully saturating that refinery. Command center coming up now from him, and he should be getting the scout in here on Hyperspace. We see Hyper's got a drone out here at his natural, so he might be expanding early.
Yeah, but it looks like Optical's go ahead and scouted that and is actually going to block it off if he tries to do something a little if he's not careful.
Well,
And
if you
he
take a
did
look
get a
real
drone
quick,
scout in.
Octopus, take a look real quick at Optical RH's base. Hyper's gone ahead and gone for the Extractor Scout, which is a classic move, and see if he'll cancel it or not. A lot of people like to cancel it, but there's no pressure being put on it, so I think he's gonna he's gonna cancel it and just
Yeah, I
remake
mean
it.
it's always nice to keep that drone scout alive as long as possible, and that extraction just gives it so much more life. And he did kill that scouting ACV and throw down the early hatch, and he's got these two Zerglings here.
Yep.
And it looks like he's going to continue to do this cancel trick as he's Optical's actually going for a fast factory with reactors, so maybe we'll see some Hellions here.
Yeah, and it would be nice to see some Hellion activity. Didn't really see what he does with it because he's got this wall up here. He's got two supply depots. You see some Zerglings coming in, putting a little bit of pressure on, checking out what's going on up here with the wall. Although Hyper really does have pretty good scouting because of this drone. He does know what's going on back here, and he's had this drone back here long enough on this distractor that he's going to prevent Optical RH from getting that second gas. He's going to leave it up now at this point. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it's going to play a pretty good role for him. And he's also going to see this command center going up, so he's going to know. Well, he's got his own natural coming up, and it has been for a while, so he's going to have a lead there. But he's going to know what's going to be coming up from Optical RH if he couldn't deduce that already.
Yeah, and it looks like he is going for double Hellions on this factory with reactor, and it's going to throw down a tech lab. And yeah, I think that was a pretty big mistake there by Optical, letting him see that early command center. with this extractor. So we'll see, interested to see what happens there, as we do have actually an early Roach Warren coming up from Hyper. So he may be looking to pressure this early Expo.
Well, and he has fantastic scouting at this point. He's got the control of the middle with those two Zerglings that he pulled off of the wall. That extractor is still up. It's been there for a very long time, so he knows exactly what kind of saturation OpticalRH has as natural. OpticalRH has these two Hellions, and it would be interesting to see whether or not he decides to put pressure in the middle. But as you said, those Roaches are coming up really soon, and it's going to give Hyper the advantage here. RH's scouting has not been fantastic at this point. He really hasn't seen too much at all. He hasn't gotten into that main, and he hasn't seen what's back there in terms of that Roach Warren or the tech. So
Yeah, you know, I mean, he did scout this natural, but he doesn't know that there are roaches, and he's actually building a Reaper along with these four Hellions, so it looks like he's going to be going for some early pressure. But with a couple roaches and a queen, I don't see him getting too much from this. Although
we'll
this
see what
Reaper
happens.
is
Here it
making
comes.
its way right into the main, and he's going to scout this Roach Warren, and it looks like he's going to
He's
go
going
right
for
for the
the
middle
line. He's
line.
going for the line. He's going right behind the line. It's going to take a while for the queen to get out there. He's
Yeah,
got
meanwhile,
one drone,
Hyper
two
is actually
drone.
trying to prevent this Hellion harass at the natural.
That's
And
fantastic
they're
APMs from
taking
RH.
out a lot of drones. Meanwhile, this Reaper has racked up 4 kills, now 5. And the Hellions sneak by the
They're
Queen
in.
into the main. And they're going to start putting on even more pressure, as this Reaper now has 7 kills. Each of these Hellions has a couple as well.
And he's going to go. Hyper's going to take care of that now at this point. RH looking like he's going to pull that Reaper off. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see him turn around and try and destroy some buildings with it. But now those Roach is going to put on some pressure. He's just going to save that Reaper. But he got the job done he wanted to do. Hyper is in some serious trouble here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at that income tab, he's got only 18 drones under 26. And he's just now starting to get that link speed, which he's going to need if he's going to keep chasing down these Hellions.
Yeah, and keep in mind the OpticalRH does have these mules up as well, so that's an even greater advantage than it looks like on paper. He's got, well, it's only one mule, but it's still going to give him even more of an advantage than it looks on paper. And you see, OpticalRH knows that he has time now. Interesting that he's deciding to build a bunker here, I guess for extra protection, just in case it is natural. But the game is really in his ballpark right now. It's his game to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was some really nice early
We see the
pressure.
Reaper coming back in, by the
Hellions.
way, and those Roaches killing it real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but trying to put some more pressure there was OpticalRH, and Hyper having none of it, keeping those Roaches there. Good play by Hyper. He knew he was going to come back at some point.
Yeah, that was a really nice positioning by those roaches. But we see Hyper actually now getting up that drone count really quick. He's already up to 28 under 32, so not all the way back up, but definitely getting himself back in this game. And it looks like he's going to try and put on some pressure with these roaches. But with a bunker and a siege tank already here, I don't think he's going to get a whole lot.
Yeah, but the Siege Tank does not have Siege Mode tech yet, which is interesting because he's got that tech lab there, and he should maybe be researching if he's going to decide to put some tanks in there. But it looks like he's just using it as extra protection at this point. Nothing too serious. Got an Overlord Sack coming in through this natural. He's not going to see too much that he hasn't seen already, although he will see the starport if he couldn't deduce already that there were going to be some medevacs coming up from
Yeah,
OpticalRH.
interestingly enough, that starboard has a tech lab on it, so maybe we'll be seeing some Banshees or a Raven. But more importantly, we see Optical throwing down a third command center down by his natural, which is really nice placing by him. Hyper did not see that with that Overlord sack, so it looks like he's going to be going either for a macro command center. That's a pretty common strategy these days, just getting an extra orbital for all those mules, or he could be flying it up to this third base here behind the rocks.
Yeah, if he flies it up to this third base, those naturals are gonna provide a fantastic protection for a long time, and it's gonna be very difficult for Hyper to figure out that's there. You see, meanwhile down here, Hyper is destroying these destructible rocks with those roaches, and he's gonna probably take his that bottom expansion as well. Although he's pulled the roaches off, so maybe not. You see, he's doing a good job with creep tumors, Hyper. He's getting it out there, trying to get as much creep as he can to give himself an advantage in terms of sight and in terms of speed. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That creep is crucial, and it looked like Optical threw down a scan in the main, didn't see a whole lot, but he's actually putting out a fast battle cruiser rush. So that could be really interesting, as Hyper has no anti-air to speak of at this point. He is getting an infestation pit, so maybe he could mind control it, but unless he mind controls, he doesn't have a Hydralisk Den, and he doesn't have any Corruptors or a Spire.
Yeah, and if you take a look, OpticalRH is doing a fantastic job with this Marine over on the right side of his natural, making sure nothing comes flying across there, using it as a scout almost, a very cheap scout, to make sure that he's ready for any sort of air pressure Hyper's going to put on. But Hyper really doesn't have anything, as you mentioned, so he's going to be in trouble when this battle cruiser comes up. You see a nice sweep coming in from OpticalRH of Hyper's natural, and his orbital command center at his natural is up now, and he looks like he's just going to use it for the sweeps at this point, as you mentioned earlier. Now we see he's moving out as well with a siege tank and a marauder Probably put some pressure on. Looks like he's not even going to bother trying to sort of hold the middle. He's going to go right for the early pressure. And Hyper's got to be careful because this queen is out very, very far, putting these creep tumors on.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
looks
that's
like
going
he's
to be a
going to
lot
lose
of
it.
trouble, and that
And
combat
yeah, there it
shield's going
is.
to finish before he gets to the natural. So he's going to have a ton of Marines with combat shield and a siege tank, and siege
And you
tanks actually
see,
do more damage to roaches in non-siege mode than they do in siege mode, unless you have a couple of siege tanks, because they do 25 damage to armor.
here comes the
And all these
infestors.
infestors are coming out to a
And
bad
nice
rally
infestors,
point. He almost
great.
loses one. That's a nice fungal growth, and those
And does
links
a
clean
great
up
job with the
all
links.
those.
And you see
all
OpticalRH just
those
brought his
Marines.
SCVs out, and he's not going to be able to do anything with them. He's just going to lose them all, and that's fantastic job from Hyper. He's not. It looks like he's going to go ahead and counterattack right now. Great, great move. Fantastic fungal growth.
Yeah, that was a
Those
really
lings
nice
get a
fungal growth,
little
and
bit
it
too
looks
far
like
ahead, though. I think those are going to be in trouble if he pushes them in too soon. And it looks like
yeah, but there's nothing in the bunker actually, and then he is researching neural parasites, so he could mind control this battle cruiser. And where is that battle cruiser? Oh my God! It's already at the natural, and it's taking down queens. It's already got 7 kills.
But
Although
there
he
is a
does have
spore
2
killer
spore
here,
crops.
and they are doing some serious damage to it. RH has to be careful. Meanwhile, another nice fungal growth from Hyper. He's got all those Marines. This bunker doing some good damage, but he's going to lose it. And the battle cruiser is gone now, by the way, Octopus. We see these infestor swarm eggs coming down. They're going to get taken care of very quickly by RH. RH doing a good job with defense, but he lost that battle cruiser, and that's
Yeah, I
going
mean,
to
that
be
was a
a
really nice
serious
defense
loss
there.
for him. We see some Banshees coming up now from him.
You see a Banshee and a nuke, as a matter of fact. And so he did a really nice defense on that bunker, keeping it alive with SCV repairs. Those infested Terran almost took it down, but that was a really big loss, revealing that battle cruiser and losing it. Although he did get 7 kills, so it was almost worth it. And he does have 65 SCVs
Yeah,
over 47 drones.
Yeah, it's a fantastic advantage for him in terms of income, and he did a good job holding. We see him, and he's now flying that orbital command over to the third. Going to use those
Yep, it looks like
destructible
he's bringing
rocks.
that Banshee in at the same time, but that Queen's going to be able to fend off that Banshee pretty easily. Although he flew down
That's
a
a
mule
mule.
underneath the Banshee to repair it. Unbelievable. And now it's just going to start picking off drones with that 2 hits per drone. It's already got 3 kills, now 4.
And he's going to get one of the queens, too. The infestors coming over, they're not going to use